be here next year and your look for the future?
I mean, I think ultimately we failed, right? I mean, no, we didn't accomplish our goals of getting to the playoffs and becoming, a playoff team. And I think, that's a big piece of what we need to take into the off season is that I think there's, things we can look positively on, guys having career years and guys, playing well, and a lot of, you know, little things that I think we can take as positives and bring into next year. But I think we ultimately need to look at it as, we weren't good enough. And I think I'm going to take that as, being one of the old guys, the oldest guy, that, it's not good enough. And, we need to raise our standard individually and bring that into, the summer, have better summer training, and ultimately come back better next year.
Jason, what changed maybe over the last month, 6 weeks that might give you a little more hope that, shows that everything started to maybe click or sink in?
Yeah, I mean, I think hope is, I had a coach at one point tell me that hope is a shitty strategy. And, so I'm gonna stick to that. And I think there's no hope. I think for us, it's understanding what helps you win. And I think we are, the last month is something that I think we stuck to that a little bit more of what goes into winning. And, it was something that, I think from the coaching staff down, I think we, hell, I'll even say general manager down, right? Having meetings and understanding a little bit more what goes into winning games. And that's, what avenues within a game, are going to matter most. I mean, if we look at last night's game, I think we have a pretty good first period. I turn a puck over for Owen Tippett, one of their best players, to go up a breakaway. It's not ideal, right? So having your most veteran guy doing that, and when you're up, what was it, 1-0 or 2-0 in that game, that's a terrible message to send to the bench, right? Did I mean to turn it over? No, of course not. But that was a play that at that point of the game is not needed. It was a play that towards the end of my shift is not a smart play. Then you look forward to a power play, right, when we're up 2-1 or maybe 2-0 at the time. Arguably one of our worst power plays of the year. Give Hathaway a breakaway, they get scoring chances, they get all this stuff, and give them momentum in a game that really should have been going the other way. So those are the type scenarios that when I'm saying we need to understand how to win, that's not how to win. And that's what I think throughout the last month we did a lot better of a job doing, is recognize those situations and doing the right things to help us win games. I think ultimately throughout the year we had a lot of scenarios where we lost games ourselves, and that hurt us the most.
Jason, I know that culture is such a buzzword in pro sports, but how would you say that the team culture evolved this season, and what sort of challenges did you guys face throughout the year in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, culture I think culture is earned. I think it's something that ultimately throughout a season, you earn it by doing the right things with your teammates and doing the right things throughout the league. And I think that ends up changing the way teams play against you. I think it turns into a lot of things that ultimately help you win games. And, I think we took a step in the right direction, I think especially this last month. But again, it wasn't good enough. And I'm going to put that on me. That's going to be something that I'm going to look myself in the mirror and see what I can do better to help the young guys, help the older guys, the leadership group, and see if we can take a big step this offseason.
I guess the disappointing aspect of that for you was it negativity or doubt that maybe creeped in when it comes to just the culture? I mean, a lot of these guys haven't won yet in this league.
Yeah, I think there's, I was lucky enough to make the playoffs, I think 7 straight years in Minnesota, we missed one year for sure. So call it 6 of 7 years there. And I think the culture there was, I mean, what's funny is the year I signed out of college, they were a lottery pick team, and that summer they signed Parisi and Suter, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, we're a winning team now. We're a playoff team. It was just the mentality going into it that was like, no, we're a playoff team now. That's just what it was. Granted, they still had a lot of good players, and they had, Koivu, and, they had a ton of really good players, but so do we. And I think the mentality definitely needs to change of being where we are versus where we want to go. And again, that kind of goes back to what you were saying. It's not a hope thing. It's a mentality. It's a mindset, and I think we need to change that.
Jason, as you sit here at the end, obviously 13 losses in a row, we understand what the results meant ultimately to the season, but when you reflect on that particular period, how impactful, maybe beyond the actual losses, was that streak that you guys went on to the end results?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at that, I think that was obviously it was a massive piece. I think what struck me most about it was actually later on when I think we had, 10 games left, or what was it? And we still technically weren't out. We still had a chance in some way, even though it was a small chance, we still had a chance. So when you look at it at that point, you're like, wow, okay, that is really where it hit me personally the most. Obviously, when you're going through it, you're in the thick of it. You're doing everything you can to get out of it and try to help the team win. And, I think we actually played some really good hockey, oddly enough, at the beginning of that stretch, and we just didn't get wins, and it just kept piling on. But, I put a lot of that on me, not helping get out of that enough, not playing well enough, and trying to push the guys to another level to get out of that earlier. But again, I think it just struck me the most at the end when we still had a chance with like 10 games left. Mathematically, we were still in it in some way. It was like, wow, if we just would have won 3 of those games, how different of a spot we'd be in. Not saying we needed to win 10 of the 13, just 3 of them, would have made a massive difference. And so it's disappointing, but again, I think for me, having been in a situation similar to that in my career, I wish I would have done more to help the guys and try to do a little bit more during that stretch. So, I'll try to be better on that for next year if we ever get in that scenario again.
Jason, it kind of going back to the culture point, half the teams in the league are getting ready for the playoffs. The other half are doing what we're doing here. And that group, there's a lot of differences in it. You have San Jose and Chicago where they are, Anaheim in a different stretch, Columbus with all they went through. And then you look at your situation here. What was it like coming in here the first time for the first year? And this organization has this albatross over it that none of the other ones do. The longest playoff drought in the history of the league. You hear it over and over again. The media brings it up. The fans bring it up. Every time a losing streak starts, the here we go again kind of plays in this town with this team. How difficult was that to grasp that is kind of everywhere in the building until someday when it's not?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I never heard a word of it until I got here. There's not this aura of the Sabres over the league. I said this during the stretch too. I honestly disagree. You guys are in it, right? And now I'm in it with you, and with everyone else in this city, and we're all in it together now. But there's not this aura that is just the Sabres or just the laughingstock of the league. That's not what it is. It's obviously been a tough stretch for the team, and I'm learning all this throughout this year. But I'll say, last year when I was in Arizona, that felt a heck of a lot worse. I'm going to be honest with you, and that's no knock on the Arizona Coyotes. I absolutely love my time there, but they were playing in a college arena in front of 20 and not even selling it out every night. And now ultimately getting moved to Utah, and like all these things. So you look at guys like Clayton Keller and Krause and those guys. We're talking about missing the playoffs. They had never played in front of an NHL home arena, like home fan base. So it's easy to sit here and look at your situation when you report on the Buffalo Sabres and you look at this organization being in it and being, I'm sure, a fan, hopefully, for so many years. But it's way different when you're on the outside than when you're on the inside looking at a 15-year drought of the playoffs. But there's I'll say there's just a lot more of that from the inside than the outside.
Jason, how do you collectively as a team fix the power play? I think from the outside looking in, it would be easy to say this team has Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson. How does the power play continue to be a problem? How do you fix it knowing that so many of the pieces that were on the power play this year will probably also be on the power play next year?
Yeah, I think it's self-growth, honestly. I think it's, I think JJ took a big step as a half-wall guy this year, learning kind of the intricacies of a power play. Ultimately, we know how good Tomer can be on the power play, but so do other teams, and so they obviously they just try to take him away. It's easy to say that when Washington has had the same issue with a guy that just scored almost his 900th goal. So there's ways around it, and we got to be better. I mean, that's the number one key. We got to find ways to get Tomer open a little bit more. I think we got to find ways to use Dahlin and his skills a little bit more up at the blue line and make him more of a threat. And I think we were working through that at certain times, and I think we had a lot of success for certain periods, just not sustained enough. And I think that's going to be, again, a big piece that we try to work on, because it's about sustaining it. And I think, Lindy had told me a stat. I think our power play was like 8% during our 13-game losing streak, and don't quote me on that because I didn't. Someone told me that, but it's like that. That's a big reason why we went on a 13-game losing streak, is our special teams wasn't good enough for that stretch and for a lot of different stretches. But I think we also went through some stretches where we were in the upper 20s. So it's about finding consistency, and I think throughout a lot of our game, not just the power play, we need to be more consistent.
Was it about, when you signed that contract extension at the deadline, I'm curious, what was it about Kevin and Lindy's vision that made you want to, in the later part of your career, stick around and kind of, but gave you the confidence that there's better things ahead?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about Lindy and Kevin and their vision and the organization and the vision and that and all these things, but ultimately, I don't feel I did a good enough job here this year in helping and teaching what I was lucky enough to have the old guys teach me when I was coming up, and I think that was a big piece for me. I think I want to take a deep dive into what I did as a leader and didn't do as a leader, quite honestly, and hopefully be better at next year. And I think it's an exciting task for me. Everything you do in your career goes through transitions. It's no different for hockey players as it is for you guys, as it is for everyone else in this world. You go through transitions in your life, and I think for me, I still absolutely love playing this game. But I'll say I was just as excited seeing Ryan McLeod score his 20th goal last night as when I look back at my career in my first year scoring 20. Like it's so fun to see that type of stuff now. And again, I think I want to keep building myself and helping this team and this organization. And I think the guys are just a great group of guys, and I think they all care and they all want to win. And for me, I'd just love to be a part of that.
Well, Jiri Kulich, I mean, he's talked many times about what you've done for him this year. You took him under your wing, and I would watch during games when you were on the same line. You were always talking to him as you came off the ice, that brought the shift and everything else. Is it fun to see his growth that you got to see this year and what he was able to accomplish? And I remember the first time I asked about you, he goes, I was afraid of him the first time he got here. But
He didn't even introduce himself to me.
He did appreciate what you did. Is it fun to see the growth you saw in him throughout the year?
Yeah, I think so. Do you think I helped him miss an empty net and hitting a ref last night? I'm not going to let him live that one down for a long time. I think Cooley is an unbelievable player, and he's going to be for a long time in this league. And I think the Sabre fans should be extremely excited about him and his game. I think the one thing that I think gets overlooked with him more than anything else is just like the matchups he had this year, like even going back to just a couple games ago playing Toronto, I mean, he's playing every shift against Matthews and Marner, and Nyes, and he's doing a hell of a job of it. I think he is an extremely good two-way centerman, and I think he's going to be a very good player. And I think he was a huge reason why Tomer had 45 goals or whatever it was this year too. I think he's just a great player. He's a great person. It's been fun to get to know him and try to, just help him grow as a player. And I'm really excited for him for next year. I think he's going to take a big step. So I think it'll be fun to watch.